Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I'm here today with a lovely lady, Marguerite Mary hopefully I'm going to pronounce this right. Rigoglioso?
Almost.
Oh, no, come on.
Rigoglioso, if you really want to get Italian. Rigoglioso.
Oh, that's really awesome. Okay, Rigoglioso, PhD. She has a book. It's called The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, Mary and the Lineage of Virgin Births. Now, this is a really interesting subject, you guys. She's talking about the Immaculate Conception and how this all occurred. And I want you guys to sit back and relax for a second. I'm going to read just a little bit of her book, just for the simple fact that I want you guys to get a feel for what we're going to be talking about today. And so here we go. The mystery tradition of miraculous conception offers a profound journey into the mystery of Mother Mary that no one has yet taken in all of the centuries that have passed since this most holy of women lived, and in all the books that have been written about her. It invites you as a reader to reflect on and respond to what you are reading on the Seven Sisters Mystery School Facebook page. This book is the beginning of a Mary allusion, one inviting the conscious participation of the broader global community. Let it begin. And that's what she says. And I think that's fantastic. So that's what we're going to be talking about today on the High Road. Now, before I read her bio and bring her on, I did get a quick message from Gabriel today. You know, with all this stuff going on in Russia, Ukraine, throughout the world, here in the United States, with everything. This is what he said to me. It's pretty short, but it's pretty to the point. So it's March 9th, 2022. And he says, "Dear Nancy, what you are witnessing is a mere muse, a false front of what is truly occurring around the world. Do not be fooled by what you see. Rather, go within to thyself to understand the truth. Those who walk in the light of the Lord will not perish. Be strong, be smart, be faithful to the divine source, as the people on this planet are greatly loved and have not been forgotten." So there you have it. That's what he says today. And that's the truth. We got to go in and we got to send prayers because we have to raise the vibration. And that's the only way we're going to get anywhere in this situation. What do you think? I want to ask you what you think.
Yes,
Marguerite.
I agree. Yes, last week I did a cacao ceremony in person in public, and somebody asked about the Ukraine, and I was in an open oracle state, as is the whole group when you're working with cacao, really. And what came through was, whenever you look at any world conflict, this one, because she said, what can we do? So the do part was, look at wherever in your life you're feeling anger, conflict, strife, and remedy that. That's what you can do when you're looking at the news or any imagery regarding any so-called, strife and war or whatever that's going on. It's like that stuff out there is only going to change to the degree that we change this stuff in here.
Exactly.
And that is in our control. For sure.
Right. Each individual soul has to wake up and elevate and be kinder and send out the love energy. And, when you start to get angry, stop yourself and switch it. That's what's going to change things. That's what's going to change the vibration on the planet.
Moving into the heart, which is what Mother Mary is all about, the heart chakra.
Right. Well, let me read your bio before we get started. I can't wait to talk to you about this book. It's just amazing, you guys. So Marguerite Mary, PhD, is the foremost authority on the history of virgin birth and has taught graduate and undergraduate courses in both the United States and the United Kingdom. She is the founding director of Seven Sisters Mystery School. She is the author of The Cult of Divine Birth in Ancient Greece and Virgin Mother Goddess of Antiquity. She lives in Western Massachusetts. And officially, welcome to High Road to Humanity.
So much. Thanks, Nancy. I'm really happy to be here. And Angel Gabriel.
Yeah, God bless. Well, and the first thing I want to ask you is how did you, I mean, you've written, this is your third book. What prompted you to start to do research to find out about the Immaculate Conception, I guess, is the question.
I had been working on a project on Demeter and Persephone in Sicily, and the mother-daughter goddesses there. And when I read this book in Sicilian, in Italian, by Anna Maria Corradini called Mothers, Meteres, she said something about this birthing of Persephone from Demeter originally had been parthenogenesis, meaning there was no male gods involved in this. And it was how she was talking about this parthenogenesis, this birth without male involvement. I suddenly had a downpour into my mind. Oh my gosh, virgin birth was a real thing that women were doing. And around the same time, I read Drunvalo Melchizedek's Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. And in one of those volumes, he is, I guess, quoting Thoth, who says that virgin birth was a real thing, that Mother Mary did it. That's about all I can say about it. He's, not going to go any further. So these things just opened the doorway, opened the portal to me. And then when I started looking at the ancient world and all the priestesses and how they were in ancient Greece, from the perspective, gee, is virgin birth a real thing? I found a ton of material. I had books coming back and forth from the library to substantiate this claim about the living tradition of virgin birth priestesses in the ancient Mediterranean and Aegean world, of which Mary was also a part, but did not act alone. So there was a natural segue from realizing that this was the case in ancient Egypt, ancient Greece,
Right.
and the western coast of Asia, to understand and situate Mother Mary in that lineage.
Okay. Now the first two books, they were also about this.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
This one just seems so in depth. Now, you do say Mary indeed belonged to a priestesshood.
Yeah.
So this is kind of crazy. It goes back. I guess I have a lot of questions. Like if Mary knew this, I'm going to get down to the real nitty gritty here. Mary knew this. So this was in her family. So she was taught this. Now I'm just wondering why they would want to, and I'm thinking I know the reason, but I want to ask you. So the reason they would do this is because they could connect with a higher source of energy, a higher being that would bring in a higher child source, meaning that they were of higher elevation, helping humanity. Is that pretty much what this deal is? Is that why they did this?
That's the purpose of virgin birth. When it's used with integrity and with the light, because it can be misused.
Oh,
But when it's used for love, light, and wisdom,
right.
yes, the intention is to bring in a high holy being, an avatar, to walk the planet in physical 3D biological material and help humanity get back to its memory of its own divine human blueprint, from which it's been separated and degenerated over thousands of years through the negative influence of other beings on the planet. So these beings were periodically incarnated through conscious priestess lineages in order to raise up the vibration of the planet, to bring these teachings back. How do we treat other people? What is ascension all about? Where is the kingdom or queendom of heaven actually located? And how can we cultivate that in our lives? How can we bring peace to the planet? How can we learn how to work with nature in, magical ways? all of these are types of things that these divine avatars were intended to bring back to humanity, to help us remember and help us just bump back up and get out of this trough of negativity that we've been in for thousands of years.
I don't mean to freak you out, but I'm one of those people. I
Oh, which-
came.
Which kind?
Which one? She's like, oh, I'm an angelic being who came
That's-
into this body, yes, to do just this.
I believe it.
And it's weird that I would read this book and meet you. And I wasn't going to say anything, but it's really hard for me not to,
Yeah,
because this is why I came here. And this is
I
why
know the veils are coming off, the lids are coming off. We have to speak these things.
we have to be honest, and I have to be honest. And I've told my audience, and this is why I'm here, is to do exactly what you said, to help humanity get back to kindness, to loving each other, to what's really important, to values, to connect with nature, to connect with the divine,
That's
to
right.
realize there is a higher vibration and that we are so powerful and we have so many abilities and we're not using them. And again, I don't mean to take the light away from what you're saying, but we are here. We are
That's
here.
right.
Yes.
And not only that, but to restore Earth to the Eden that it once was and should be, to have it be a riotous, joyful, amazing place that, you know, is only still now in the fairy realms. They're having a good time over there, but they're in a higher vibration than we are right now.
Right.
It's meant to be a joyful planet, not a prison planet that it's become.
Right.
And so we're
That's
all
true.
as part of the cleanup operation, right, Nancy? And you know,
Yeah.
you may have come in as a straight angelic. I came in as having had lives as a negative high frequency being.
Okay.
And making up that karma. But really, those were just outfits I'd put on to learn about how do the negative high frequency beings work. And, you know, but really our essential nature is that divine energy, that light body that is connected with divinity.
Right.
And so that's what we are about right now, is getting us back to the garden, as Joni Mitchell said.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I want to just say, we've got a couple of minutes before we go to commercial break. I want to find out some of the history here, because I really feel some kind of connection here. But I want to understand, Mary was, her conception was immaculate from her mother.
Yes.
So, you know, that's really interesting. And then you talk about Sarah and how she conceived Isaac, right? And, you know, then you go on to talk about the Buddhists and how they had, I think her name was, what was it, Siddhartha? Is that right?
Yeah, Siddhartha is the Buddha, and his mother Maya gave birth to him. Whenever there's an unusual conception or birth story, you know it's talking about some kind of divine birth.
Yeah. All right, guys.
It was that Buddha was born from her side.
That's crazy. So glad you came to join us today. You guys, the book is The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, Mary and the Lineage of Virgin Births. This is what it looks like if you're watching me on YouTube. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Ascension Institute annual program. It is my sincere desire to support you and to bring you to a new level of mastery that will allow you to serve humanity in the way you've always wanted. My name is Maureen St. Germain, and I have led this program for over 7 years. It is my sincere gratitude that allows me to offer this to you at this time. Check it out. Thank you for listening.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity, and I'm here today with Marguerite, Mary, and it's Rigoglioso, PhD, and her book is The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception. We're talking about Mary, and, you know, tell us some history here. Tell me what you found out. I'll just sit back and listen.
Yeah, okay, so briefly, Mother Mary was divinely born of her mother Anne. And this we find out in a suppressed gospel that did not make it into the New Testament, but it's called the Infancy Gospel of James. And its original title was Birth of Mary. And it tells us all about how Mary was conceived and born, her infancy, her childhood, and how she was brought to the temple for the rest of her training as to how to become a divine birth priestess and give birth to Jesus. And so we learn about her mother's divine conception of her. We learn about Elizabeth's divine conception of John the Baptist, pretty much in the same ritual that Mary conceived Jesus, that it was a group ritual. There were 8 women encircled together. And Anne and Elizabeth were postmenopausal women. Mary was very young, probably about 12 years old, because she was already a high holy being. She was already an avatar by coming in divinely through her mother, right? So she had several legs up. And she had had many lifetimes, according to the Hindu saint Sri Kaleshwar. She had had many, many lifetimes to perfect herself so that this was going to be her last lifetime before her full ascension into goddesshood. Okay, so in the book, I talk about what's in this infancy gospel, how it starts with Anne, how it leads to Mary, how Elizabeth joins in, what happens to this whole holy family during this time in the midst of the Roman Empire where everything is dangerous. But the main highlights of the book are some of the indications of the tools or approaches that Anne and Mary used to conceive divinely.
Right. And I think it's interesting. Now let's back up a little bit. So in order to do this, there's a couple things I want to talk about. One, at first they could just create women, but Mary did what was really exceptional by creating a male. And I want you to talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yes, because what we're talking about scientifically,
right,
when we're talking about divine birth is, as I mentioned, parthenogenesis, which comes from the Greek parthenos, or maiden or virgin, and gignesthai, to give birth. So it means to give birth as a maiden, and scientifically that means without male sperm.
Right.
Now, Mother Mary was, she was a very high adept. Okay, so there's a history of this divine birth practice that has gone on that I discern in my first book, The Cult of Divine Birth in Ancient Greece, where when this practice was first done, it was more like parthenogenesis, which if you were to do it scientifically, it would mean that you would divide the egg, and the egg has X chromosomes. So you're always going to be giving birth to a female child, right?
Right.
That was the initial form of this practice.
Right.
But as it went on in history, the women were somehow able to give birth to males now out of their own body through an adjustment process with the DNA.
All right, I'm going to stop you. So is this, now this is where I'm a little confused and I want to understand, and I'm sure the audience does too. You do talk about some of the priestesses connecting with gods, with deities from, or beings of light, could be angelic, whatever, from another dimension, because they are that connected. So when the sperm comes in, like in, for example, in the case of Jesus, did that come from a higher being, or did she create that? Or was it a combination? Do you know what I mean?
Right, she created it. She was going back to a very old process of parthenogenesis, sacred parthenogenesis. She was able to, the metaphor that they use in the gospel is that she was weaving at the time of the conception.
Right, I read that.
She was weaving her own DNA into, she was coming in and out of the dimensions, going back and forth, weaving. Archangel Gabriel was working with her.
Okay.
She was within the cauldron, the chalice of her womb, creating a being, out of scratch.
Was Gabriel telling her what to do?
I don't think so. I think he was there as a support, and he was reflecting back to her at various points, where in the ritual I'm
going to have to ask.
I don't think he gave her the instructions.
Right, I'll have to ask. Okay.
He was partnering.
Yeah.
And he was the one who announced when it was complete. That was a major role.
Okay.
It seems that the woman would not necessarily know when it was done. So they needed the angelic being to tell them, done, accomplished, you can move forward now.
Now, this is like a tantric sex thing.
It is. It is. It's the woman would become yin yang herself. She would become androgynous so as to conceive within her, and sexual desire was a part of the process. I would even venture to guess that orgasm was part of the process.
I think so. The more I read your book, and I just really thought that too. Now let's rewind a little bit. You do talk in the book about some of the priestess having sex with the gods. You talk about the giants. The reason I bring this up is because I believe there's still giants here. And I thought it was really interesting when I read in your book, Genesis 6:1-4, where it talks about the sons of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And would you mind addressing that for a moment?
Yeah. Well, so these are these watchers. There are different stories depending on where you're looking, but there are these beings known as the watchers who basically are giants, and they violate cosmic law by getting into sexual procreation with human women.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives birth to the Nephilim.
Right.
And they are giants walking on the planet who are already a problem because they have the DNA of these watchers, who are these degenerated angelics who are wreaking havoc all over the universe and especially on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these giants who then start creating problems on the planet, the Nephilim. And so that is what I would say a misuse of a hijacking of women's womb technology, a hijacking of a kind of divine birthing, because they're working interdimensionally. So one of the stages of divine birth, when the priestesses are practicing it themselves, is they move from parthenogenesis into sex with gods on the astral realm.
Okay.
There is an interdimensional penetration, but there's not really an exchange of biological material. There's a stimulation of the egg within the woman from the light body of this god.
Right.
And then in the later phase in Egypt, they had physical penetration by the pharaoh who would embody the god, but his sperm would be involved in this high tantric activity with the queen. So it was like a later version of virgin birth, or what one could also say it was on the other side of the spectrum, which is high hierogamic or divine partnering tantra. So you've got parthenogenesis, solo priestess on one hand, you've got the divine birth pairing on the other. Both are attempting divine birth, but there's, once you start getting into the pairing, the hierogamic, it's easy for it to get hijacked. And once you start getting into the—
What do you mean it's easy for it to get hijacked? I don't know.
Well,
Explain.
because you have something besides the woman, the high priestess herself, starting to govern this process. You have the intrusion of male intelligences, male presences, male gods, etc., all of whom have their own agendas.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So let me understand this. God, men always screw it up.
Well,
I'm sorry. I don't mean to say it like that, but I mean, it feels like, here the priestesses have accomplished this amazing, miraculous, thing that we can do. And then the male comes in with their own agenda, and it kind of and that's what stopped this, isn't it?
it is. And this is the story of patriarchy. But what I want to say, Nancy, is though, it's not the natural human male that did this. It's the human male influenced by these negative controller beings who decided, we're going to get in there and give more power to the male because the female is too powerful. She's connected with the goddess. We can't have that if we want to have control and we want to have our misery to eat off of on the human plane. We have to get rid of the feminine power. We have to get rid of sacred marriage equality with men and women. We have to give male hyper testosterone, hyper aggressive energy. And that's what it is. So it's not that there's something intrinsically wrong with the male. It's the male getting victimized by bad influences, which we are all needing to release from the planet now.
You know what influences, like what beings, what? Do you have any idea?
Well, in the Gnostic tradition, they call them the archons.
Okay.
And in contemporary spiritual terms, they've been known by various different names, you know, Nephilim, the Anunnaki, the reptilians, the this,
So
the
we're
that,
talking the reptilians here is what we're talking about.
usually, or some version of them.
Okay. Hey, we got to go to commercial break. What a great show. I'm so glad you came to visit me today. The book is The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, Mary and the Lineage of Virgin Births. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity. And I'm here today with Marguerite Mary I can't get her name right. Rigoglioso, PhD, and her book is The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception. And we're so glad she's here. And we're talking about what has happened, you know, and I've always felt, you know, the biggest thing with me and partnership, you know, I've been married before. I'm not married now, but, you know, I really believe in equality. And I want you to talk about what's coming, because I want to talk about the good stuff that I think will stem from your research, that we will get to a point where the equality is back. Talk about that. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, you know, as women on planet Earth and men get busy restoring the sacred feminine, which, by the way, never really went away, and in some traditions has been alive and well to some degree, like in India and other traditions, as we really, there's been a big push over the last 50 years, an awakening to the goddess, therefore an awakening to the power of the feminine, therefore an awakening to the spiritual power of women in the womb. As we've been doing that, we have been starting to restore the balance between men and women. And there are forces of energy that are coming through the planet now that are allowing for that to happen on in a bigger way. And I really enjoy the work of Lisa Renee, who's just a premier oracle. And she talks a lot about the restoration of, you know, the Arthur Guinevere template, meaning the sacred marriage template, okay, which was one of the main things that had to be torn asunder by these control beings. They had to wedge themselves right between men and women and create warfare, you know, and really disturb the peace of the planet. So now, as we're restoring the feminine, we're restoring our souls and spirits as women. As we're restoring our power as women, we're restoring our heart power. As we're restoring our heart power and love, we're being inspirations for men and others who are also doing their work in their own way. And we're doing, you know, what a lot of this comes down to is simply the inner child healing, because these travesties have been perpetrated through humanity by intergenerational trauma.
I agree with that, by the way.
Abuse, sexual abuse, and so forth. So now everyone is left with having to do their therapy work.
I know everybody had to go within, and during COVID, I think it was a blessing. So we could all go within and we could all heal ourselves. And I'll have to be honest, I did the same thing. You know, I'm no different. Just because I'm, you know, I'm here to learn too. And we all have to go and do these things. I think that's wonderful. I want to ask you really quick. I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought there, but you talk a lot about how all this is connected with the star beings.
Yeah. Well, anytime you have divine birth, you're working with star nation energy of one kind or another. And one could say that even the Holy Family are star beings. One could say that we are all star beings, right?
Yeah.
All have DNA valences, past life memories on planet and off of our lives in other dimensions and other existences. So it's about awakening to that fact and working with it in a positive way that can help humans heal, do their healing, restore their light body, move into their higher dimension, okay, and move through this great epic of misery that the planet has been under for a very long time.
Yeah. It's going to happen. I feel really good about it. What do you think?
Yes, I do. I think it's inevitable. It's happening regardless. Like no matter how many controlling forces are attempting to stop it, change the timelines or whatever, there's
Not going to happen. Yeah.
inevitable progression of this that sooner or later is going to really become the dominant force.
Right. Talk about the symbol of the doves with Mary. I like that. Tell the audience.
Well, the dove has always long been the symbol of the human soul. And so it was a symbol of Mary. It was a symbol of Jesus. It was a symbol of when Jesus was baptized and he had a special sort of infusion of energy. The dove came into him. It's a high level frequency, female type energy frequency, but the doves, you know, they mate for life. You know, they are partnered, right? So they represent Hieros. And the doves also, in addition to being connected with many of the major goddesses in the ancient Mediterranean world, were connected with the Pleiades. So talk about the star system.
No, I saw that.
Right? The seven sisters of the Pleiades were known as the seven doves. So we're talking about high level feminine spirit beings who interface with the earth plane. And in the case of Mary, we're seeing, you know, she came in on a mission to bring a high holy avatar to help humanity right itself again.
Right.
And Pleiades before her were seven virgin mothers who were star seeds of humanity. They must have materialized into human form, and they had virgin births, all but one of them. And those virgin births led to lineages on the planet, which led to the fact that all humans have some portion of Pleiadian DNA from those initial seedings by those seven sisters. They are our seven mothers. They were all related to one mother, Pleione. So they are like the seven daughters of Eve that Brian Sykes talks about genetically. You know, we can trace it back literally to seven mothers. Those are the Pleiades, okay?
I got chills when you talk about this. This is crazy. Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the Pleiades again on the Portal to Ascension with Neil Gower.
Yeah.
In April, I have an event online with him where I'm going to go through the whole presentation on the
Well,
Pleiades.
tell the audience, how do they get involved? How do they find you?
So that one is with Neil Gower. Go on to Portal of Ascension and Neil Gower, Gaur, and you'll be able to register for that. I know he's going to be sending that around soon. It's one of the weekends in April. Yes, it's Sunday, April 10th, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. My Pleiades presentation with him.
Nice.
Neil gets it. You know, he's one of these incarnates from mystery times, and he knows how to pick them when people are getting the information in. Like, you know, you're coming in with angelic information, and
and you're coming in with this information about Mary, and we're all coming. Here's the cool part. We're all coming together. I know, it's bizarre. And you're going to be in Sedona.
Yeah.
Suzanne Ross is putting on this wonderful event. You know, it's the Ascension event in Sedona. It's going to run through March 18th, you guys, through the 20th. You can still get tickets if you want to go. You're going to be there. What are you going to be talking about? I'm going to get to meet you. What are you going to talk about? I'll come see you.
Yes, great, wonderful. I'm going to be talking about more of the details about Mother Mary, how she was born, how Anne conceived her, how she conceived Jesus, what this practice of divine birth is all about, and then, you know, having people have an experience of connecting with Mother Mary as well, because she's alive and well.
I know.
She ascended. She's full goddess. She is one of the people who has been sanctioned to be in communication with the earth plane directly, but she needs to be asked. And she's a mentor. I mean, she was an amazing being in her lifetime, which is something of another book that I'm going to be talking about, that I also have available in a course called the Mother Mary Mystery Teachings, where I learned all about not just the fact that she conceived Jesus divinely, but she had a whole life after that until her death, her assumption or her ascension into heaven.
And Jesus had a brother, right?
Well, you know, Jesus may have had half brothers. It could be that Mother Mary had children.
Another?
But I really think that those were previous children by Joseph and a different wife.
Okay.
And that they were stepbrothers and stepsisters. There were like several males and several females that were considered his brothers and sisters.
Okay. You know, I just want to tell the audience, and I'd like for you to just elaborate a little bit. You know, I started connecting with Mary, and all you have to do is ask,
Yeah.
you know, and talk to the audience for a minute. We got about a minute before we go to break. Tell them how to do that.
Yeah. Like just close your eyes right now and just say, take a breath. Hello, Mother Mary. I'm saying hello to you. And if you would like to be in communication with me, I invite you to do that. Please show me signs and please show me how I can be in more of a relationship with you.
And you can do that. It's just like, you know, connecting with the angelic realm. You can connect with Mary in the same way. Hey, you guys, we got to go to commercial break. The show's going by really quick. The book is The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception. This is Nancy Earl. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Earl, and this is High Road to Humanity, and I'm here today with Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso, PhD. Her book is The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, and I'm asking her really because I want to read the real deal, like, you know, where did you find this information? So you see it's in the book, so talk about this.
Yes, so it's called the Infancy Gospel of James. That's what the scholars have called it. Even though the original name of this gospel was Birth of Mary, it was written by a James who probably is a stepbrother of Jesus, one of Joseph's sons by a previous partnership.
Okay.
And so there have been numerous versions of it found that have been pieced together. And probably the most comprehensive piecing together and translation is by Ronald Hawk. And he has his own book about this, where he gives more of a scholarly analysis of this and another gospel. But we have published it in there with his permission. And so you can read what he's pieced together, how he has translated it, and go step by step. And it's what I lead you through in the bulk of the book, but then you can see the specifics. And actually, the interesting thing is you'll see how sparse it actually is. Because I am able to bore down to one word, and I might have like a whole section of one of the chapters on that one word, or right? Because I'm able to bring to it my research on virgin birth that I had already done in ancient Greece. So I knew all the signs, I knew all the symbols, I knew what things meant. So when I looked at this gospel, I said, oh my gosh, this is revealed information.
It brought it together for you,
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
This is an inspired writer who must have known about women's mysteries. He must have been an eyewitness.
Interesting. Now, do you think this will come back? You have a mystery school. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, virgin birth has never died. It has gone underground. And even in the last 50 years, I know of women who have accomplished divine birth.
Really?
One of whom I talk about at the beginning of that book, a woman whose stage name, shall we say, is Lori. But she gave birth to a child spontaneously after being a breatharian and being a very high spiritual woman. In a flash of light on New Year's Eve, 1976. She divinely conceived a child. She brought the child to term. The child lived 3 months and then died, because a lot of times the earth is not ready for these beings right now. I also know of another woman in Mexico.
The vibration, can I just stop you there? Was it the vibration was too high?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the vibration of the earth is too low for these beings. It can't support them. Okay. Another woman in Mexico, she had a different situation where she was in a relationship with the god Quetzalcoatl.
Oh, wow.
And she conceived what she believes to be his son. The child lived for 3 years and then died right in front of her. He choked. Again, indication that it's not the time for these children to really be walking the planet, but they can come in and out. And for all we know, there might have been other secret, hidden divine births that have gone on. There could be an unbroken lineage of these women. We don't know, but I have not heard of it. And however, yes, I do believe that the process can be resurrected through these various means and technologies that are coming back in, one of which is the Holy Womb Chakra teachings, which gives quite a few mantras for the purification of the Holy Womb that Sri Kaleshwar says Mother Mary used. All right. And I do believe that within 35 years, we will resurrect this practice as women move into higher dimensional frequency and understand how to work with their mind, body, spirit interface, how to work with the quanta, how to work back and forth between biology and the light body to do this again. However, what I will say is, with any luck, we won't need to have divine birth on the planet.
Yeah.
We'll be able to give divine birth to ourselves in the sense that we can restore our divine human blueprint by moving into a higher dimension of consciousness. And we can become the Christed being. We can become the second coming.
Right.
I think that's what the second coming is all about. And so we will all be walking avatars again. We will return to our avatar bodies.
Well, and as you were speaking, I was thinking there is no reason for, as we ascend and men and women become equal again, there will be no reason for that to bring it in. It was amazing and miraculous. But what it does say about humanity and about women is how powerful we really are. Because we're energetic beings, and we have to start looking at ourselves in that way and start to understand our powers. I think you just talking about this and bringing this to people's attention makes people realize, again, back to the energetics, we are creators.
That's right.
We can create whatever we want. We can create heaven on earth. As Maureen St. Germain always tells me, Nancy, create heaven on earth. And she's right. We're all little creators. And, it will be a wonderful day to see equality. It's so sad that we had other beings come in and mess up our situation, and intervene where it's made it. And I can see when you talk about the male, how they've corrupted our situation, but it will be nice to see this again. When do you see that happening? Or do you? At what point, I guess? I know I'm a psychic, but I don't usually do well with the years, but what do you think?
I think that it's not necessarily going to be linear. It will kind of come in some jumps. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So one jump was the whole COVID thing, and that really activated people quite a bit. And many more people started popping open to other dimensional reality. There may be more things like that. Mm-hmm. So in terms of time, who knows?
Yeah.
Let's just all continue to create that heaven on earth through any means necessary.
Yeah.
And we shall see if we can accelerate it. How's that?
I agree. I just think it's exciting. And it may sound weird, but as you were talking, I was thinking, even this craziness in Ukraine and Russia will bring people to a different mindset.
Yeah. Because the actions of negativity only get 50% of any pie. The light gets 50%. So the light will always either grab the reins or do its part of the story to help. So there's going to be the 50% of the light that you're going to see in the Ukraine story, just like there was the 50% of the light we saw in the COVID story, etc.
Same kind of deal. Interesting. Yeah. But it's all catapulting us to a different, and so you can't look at it all in a negative light, and you have to change it, and you have to, change our mindset, right?
That's the thing. These negative beings have been our greatest spiritual teachers in a way, because it helped us to go from purely Edenic, innocent consciousness to Edenic, true wisdom consciousness. It's another rung of the spiral that perhaps needed somehow their presence in our reality in order for that to happen.
That's interesting. Yeah. No. So another book coming up after this?
Yes. I'm in the process of finishing it. So
Okay.
be continued.
Okay, so there's more to come. Okay. Now, if people want to get in touch with you, give out your information for them, Marguerite.
Yes, so you can find me at sevensistersmysteryschool.com, and the 7 is written out, SEVEN, sevensistersmysteryschool.com, and there you will find courses that are available on demand, new courses that I'm doing, cacao ceremonies that I'm doing online, lots of free resources and videos like eventually this one, audios, all sorts of things. So go poke around, have fun, and you can also work with me one-on-one. I do mentoring to support you on your spiritual path, your sacred ministry, and so forth. So it's all there. You can also send emails into us at Dove, D-O-V-E, Dove at sevensistersofferings.com. And the 7 is written out again, SEVEN. So thank you, Nancy, for.
Oh, no, you're welcome. I'm so excited. Now, how long have you had your mystery school?
10 years. This is the 10th.
Oh, congratulations.
Started in
Okay.
2012. So we're doing a lot of 10th birthday retrospectives. We're going to have something big in the fall to celebrate, which is our official birthday on September 14th.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
well, happy birthday. You guys, the book is The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception. It's amazing. I haven't finished it. I'm going to finish it. It's one of those where you just want to find out more and more and more. Mary and the Lineage of Virgin Births. You guys, if you want a psychic reading, I guess I should say an angel reading, go to my website, nancyyearout.com, and you can book your date and time there with me. I'll be in Sedona. Hopefully you guys will come and join us at the Ascension. That would be March 18th through the 20th, and that's put on by Suzanne Ross. Thanks again for coming on the show, Marguerite. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Nancy, and many blessings to you on all that you're doing.
Many blessings to you as well. All right, you guys, have a terrific week. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and God bless.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week, and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
You can achieve your goal.